Everybody, welcome to my stream, to my show. um, I'm kidding, of course. I know I left abruptly the last time. I usually tend to do that sometimes. I don't really have it planned. Um, but last time I think what I was working on was a provisioning. So I'm going to continue to work on that. If you're new to my channel on YouTube, please subscribe. I do a lot of these live streams just to show you the methodology for development. It's not necessarily for tutorials. I don't really care for tutorials, but I want to help, any developers that are out there that are thinking or doing SharePoint development. That's what I specifically work on. And so let me go ahead and get started. The last time I was going over this object, and what I was doing is I updated the provisioning so that I could return this value here of the JSON. And so I'm still going to be continuing this, but another thing that I need is the list ID. And I also need to know the list identifier. So right now I'm not retrieving the list identifier, because if we look at this lookup field object, you can see that the lookup list ID is here. And so I want the system to know what list it's going to be using as a lookup. So let's go ahead and get started with that. So to get this information, we need to update the provisioning Webpart, which is this one right here. And then this one, what I need to do is look up list ID. And I guess it's because relationship behavior, it did bring it, right? Yeah, so it was relationship behavior. Relationship delete behavior, it did bring that. And then this, I need to, but it's missing a comma right here. There we go. So now I have that. And then another thing that I need is when it's constructing the lists, I needed to retrieve the list ID. So let's go see where that's at right here. So we have the title, and we have the title here. And what I need from the object was the list ID. And so the list ID, so let's get the list. So this is the list. We can get rid of this. Actually, let's do this. List. And it was FAQ list. And let's retrieve this list information. So here's our list object. So we need to retrieve the list ID. So let's just call it ID. So right here, why is this? ID doesn't need to not exist on IList schema. Maybe it's ID. Where's IList schema? Right here. Let's go to the definition. And let's create it right here. ID. Oh no, this is a string because it's a GUID. All right. All right, so let's save this. And now let's try to retrieve the data again. So this has been saved. This is my provisioning Webpart running. This is provisioning. Okay, so provisioning is running. Let's go back to all right, so where was I? Kind of lost track. So we're gonna go to the Webpart here. And we're gonna remove this file. And also go ahead and close it here. So now if I refresh this, so there's our run watch. When I need the FAQ list and topics. There's our JSON. And now we can go to our API here. And you can see now we have the ID. And why is this important? Because on the lookup field, you can see here that the lookup ID is ending in this. So this parent ID is a lookup. But this is the ID. It didn't return. It looks like it didn't return the list ID. It returned the list ID here. But it was supposed to also retrieve the list ID for this column. And it didn't. Why? Let's go look at the code again. Okay, I know that there's a repository for this. Oh, I'm in the wrong web part. It's this one right here. All right, so we have the list ID and we have the lookup list, but it didn't retrieve it. Lookup. It was supposed to do 00290. Which is right here, 00290. If I only find it once. So this lookup list column did not get retrieved. Let's go find out why. Could it be because I put it as uppercase maybe? I don't know why that would make a difference. It's definitely called lookup list. Let's try it now. Run watch ran. Okay, it's there. Lookup. It only retrieves the ID in relationship. Let's go see where else this was done. Really? Ah, it's not in the get API. That's why. Oh no, wait, it is there. So in the app props, I guess lookup string. I think that's what I'm supposed to do. And then the helpers. So right here, do the same thing as well. Oh, I know what I did wrong. Wait. No, that's correct. Okay, so it looks like this should do it. Let's wait for Webpack. Okay, Webpack red. Sorry, I didn't mean to chew in your ear. I have a tendency to chew on ice. All right, so let's see. Right here. Let's refresh that. Get rid of the file once more. And I want to export these two lists. Here's my new file. Let's take a look at it. Okay, so I should have this appear twice. If I do a Control F to find it, it only brought it down one time. Why is it not returning that? Ah, I missed it here. Special handling for lookup fields. If it is a lookup, and lookup list information, and then lookup list. All right, let's try it again. The watch ran. Refresh our Webpart. And now we're gonna retrieve these two lists, export it. I'm hoping I got it what I need now. Yep, it is right here. Awesome. And you can see that these numbers are identical. Why that is important is because whenever we provision this in using our script, it's going to know what list it is targeting. So for instance, we know that FAQ topic is going to be the parent of the lookup ID called parent ID. Why? Because these are identical to each other. Now in the target site, it's not going to do that. On the target site, it's not gonna show that. Anyway, that's what I needed. So now let's go back to our AI where we were working on this right here. It was this one, I believe. Okay, so understand that double creation is intentional. SharePoint requires list level field creation to set a relationship behavior and then indexing. Since these behaviors are bounding during the list column registration, not at the side column level, keep that pattern. Okay. Another change is that instead of using app list schema, we want to use this. While the maybe similar. No. So I need the ability to provide the provisioning API, the JSON format rather than TS. So the new provisioning should look for a .json file. So typically in the provisioning API script, it's going to read this file. What I'm telling it to do is, instead of using this file, I want it to use this file, because this is a little more detailed. So we have our list that includes our fields, our list and includes our fields. And then we also have the ability to have the lookup list ID to determine what list it's going to be. This will be bundled in a static asset. Because right now this is retrieving it from the assets folder, specifically the assets. So this file, I actually need to drop it in here. I want to make it part of the solution. Okay, lookup list versus list ID. JSON uses lookup list with a GUID. Should I update the column provider type to use lookup list GUID? Yes, update it to use lookup list GUID. Keep in mind, we'll have to store the list IDs memory while creating them by name and ID. Then we would reference the JSON to see what name matches the ID in the JSON. Reason, because the IDs may be different on the target site when the list is created. So what I'm saying there is, if we look at the provisioning process, it's going to create list 1, right? So this would be list 1. And then it's going to create list 2. The thing is that these two lists, the JSON will have them as also list 1 and 2. But the problem is that it'll have a different GUID, right? This is what we're worried about, the GUIDs, because when you go to a different site, the GUID's going to be different. So when these get created on a different site, the GUID on each one of them is going to be different. And so the problem becomes, how do we match this GUID to this GUID, right? And the only way we can match it is because in our JSON, we have the list GUIDs listed. If you look here, we can see that this 69 F1A, they're listed here. The problem is that when this gets created on the target site, it does not mean that this is going to be the ID of it. So now we have to make sure that that ID is matched. So let's do that next. Okay, a little tired already. Let's see. We're doing the target site. Hopefully it understands that. Usually behavior 0 9, that's good. Okay, so while the relationship delete behavior returns a numeric value when provisioning the column to the list, not the site column. Please keep this in mind. When it goes the second time around, it should then use the the reason, so we go to provisioning API. The relationship delay behavior has to be passed as a string. Passed as a string. Remember what each value is. So the values are can add a secondary. I don't want to. I was going to say we could add a secondary utility to keep track of this. Yeah, so we pass, the string, restrict, or cascade, and then enforce the relationship behavior is false. Like don't pass the enforcement relationship behavior if it doesn't have one, because by default it's not going to need one. Yes, skip ID and title. By the way, is it easier to have a TS file or JSON is fine? I just learned that about Claude, that in Claude you can do a / by the way, and it can actually technically still continue with whatever process it was doing, but you can ask it a side question. I've been playing Mario, and I wanted to share with you my expert levels. So while we wait for AI to do its thing, maybe we could take a look at that. All right, let's see. Let me check for the usage of types I'm changing before implementing. There's also an app list TS. Let me read it before proceeding. Search the two patterns, read one file. On the sidebar question, JSON is fine for SPFx. Webpack handles JSON imports natively, and if resolve JSON module true is in TS config, TypeScript infers the type automatically. No real difference in practice. JSON is actually better. So, what? I don't understand. Oh, I see what it's doing. Okay. Sure. So it's trying to create this app list schema, but I'm not gonna waste my tokens doing that, considering that I've already created. The file is already created. All right, so see, this is what I don't want it to do. So JSON is already in place. Now implementing all changes in parallel. Update tsconfig. I believe this is already set up. And this is already set up because if I look at the tsconfig, let's go to this file. And then it's looking to add rather. Resolve JSON module. Does it already have that? No. Under compiler options. If it can't do that, then I would rather have it converted. I would rather have this file in the provisioning Webpart be returned as a TS file. Like it can create a TS file. I'm certain that it can do that instead. Because I don't want to have to make it to where whenever somebody wants to use this scripting that they have to go in and change things in the tsconfig. Is it setting up these changes in tsconfig anyway? If so, then for user because I don't want it to be where we have to modify a bunch of files in the solution to get it working. I could potentially get there's actually one other option without touching tsconfig using require. That's JSON schema. Okay. Let's try to use require. But I think I've tried this before. Let me see. In the provisioning API, let me try to see. Require. Assets. App list schema. Which one is the one we need? App lists schema.json. It might not work. It's not even picking it up. I mean, I'll let it try it, but I don't know that it'll work. Worth a shot. Right, let's look at the plan. Yeah, let's try that. This is what I'm curious about. I see errors already. Okay, so it picks the errors. Okay, so while it's doing that, I'm gonna go to our site and clean that up. Let's go here to site contents. In the list. The list does not exist. All right, and then we delete this list. Then we go to site columns and we delete this. I actually created something to do this as well. So site field manager. Groups. It's a lot faster. I'm going to be creating a site where I can have all of my blogs, and I'm going to make some of these web parts available for free. So you are developer and you're interested, these will be available to you. They're very helpful. It's a lot easier than to have to go through and the UI and have to delete them. Because if you can see, if I go to site settings, site columns, the FAQ columns are gone. Yeah, so this is where I got the tip. You can do / by the way and ask a quick side change. Side question. All right, so it looks like the provisioning and API is done. So now let's test that. So we have to terminate this one. And I believe on this one we run have start. And now the moment of truth happens where we find out if our provisioning, our new revamped provisioning script runs better. Am I missing something? I thought it was. Wait, what am I working with? Type string is not assignable to type number. App list schema. We don't need these anymore. Okay, that's running. So now if we could click on provisioning assets, we'll see if it works. All right, here we go. Go to our console, make sure we don't see any errors. Okay. Looks like it went through. Let's go see. If I go to site contents, site settings, site columns, and then we have, oh, didn't work. It did not work. We had an error. Route not found. Okay, let's go see what this thing did. All right, so it uses this to get the app list schema data. Sorry, my dog is trying to hit over a ball. All right, so it creates the schemas. It creates a map to keep track of the GUIDs. Check if lists exist. It creates the list. Otherwise, it gets the list information and then it goes into the site fields. It gets the fields. If the field equals counter, title, ID, or lookup, continue. Else ensure field exists. Ensure field exists. Oh. Why did it do this? Jeez. I hate the way AI works sometimes because it just messes more than it messes stuff more than it fixes. I noticed that you changed the creation of the fields you use. Ensure field exists. Wait, ensure field exists is wait, never mind. That was dumb of me. Okay, so never mind. Ensure field exists is a function. I thought it was like a method that came from PNP.js, but no, it's an actual function. Created the answer field. And apparently I created the fields for the list. I don't know how true that is, but let's go find out. Nope, it just has the title and answer. And obviously topics will just have title. You can see here it's got this number that ends in 560. And look at this. Of course, it's not going to work because you can see here the list. We're supposed to be passing the list ID. Because when the ensure field runs, it's a lookup, site field X, create field XML, lookup list undefined. Why are you saying undefined? This is just giving the night. What is the value? Let's see, copy value. Yeah, so AI did its thing as it usually does and messed up what I had worked on. I need to obviously fix it. Let me look at the original provisioning API if I still have it. Here it is. So here's a provisional API. And so ensure field exists should not have been changed. It's annoying because it literally did the stupidest thing it could ever do. It said if the field is a lookup, why on earth would you put lookup list is undefined? Of course that's going to give an error because for a lookup field to actually work, you need to have a lookup list. But everybody says AI is the next great thing and it's going to replace every developer. It's so annoying when I hear people say that because AI is stupid. Sorry, it just pisses me off. So if you're worried that you cannot become a developer because AI is going to take over your job, don't hold your breath. I literally told it what to do. I explained everything and it still jacked it up. God dang it. Sorry. I'm just pissed. I'm going to quit. I'm going to rage quit right now. Sorry. I will I'll come back to this. It's been a long day. I've been developing all day. I'm tired. I did go for an hour. I'm sorry that I have to leave like this, but it's just frustrating, you know, because you spend so many years getting really good at your craft and then somebody comes around and says, oh, your job, some machine can do it real easily. And it's not true. It's not true. And if you ever watch any of my streams, you'll see what I'm talking about. Every time that I try to delegate something to this thing, it just screws it up over and over and over again. And somehow I'm supposed to believe that this thing's going to take all developer jobs. It's not. It's just not. Anyway, that being said, I'll catch you next time. I'm going to go take a break for the day. Please don't lose your dream to try to become a developer. It's an awesome job. I love it. I mean, here I am working after hours doing what I do, which is coding. And I hope that you like it. And if you do, please continue to do that. The notion that AI is going to take everyone's job, I highly doubt it because it just doesn't do a very good job so far. Anyway, I'm heading out. Peace.